Hi, I'm Gary Fisk, Professor of Psychology at Georgia Southwestern State University. In this video, what we're going to do is use PSPP software to do a one-way analysis of variance statistical test. All right, let's first look at our data file. How do we have to set up our data to do this analysis? Getting the data set up right is key to making this work. Once you have the data set up, it'll be quite easy to do. So here's an example data file for a one-way analysis of variance. This variable or this data came from is something I made up. It's in my website for using PSPP for beginners. The example is, let's imagine we're trying to treat high blood pressure. We've got 4 different groups of people and we're evaluating a blood pressure medication. Different groups are getting different doses of the medication. The inspiration for this came from a lab. I came from a lab that did blood pressure research or hypertension research. And so I got exposed to that quite a bit when I was in graduate school. Okay, so this is the variable. This first variable over here, BP, this is the variable that contains the blood pressure data. This is the dependent variable or the outcome, I guess you could call it. So our blood pressure readings are going here. In the second variable, we've got group membership. We have to code the groups. This informs the statistical software about how the groups are set up. This is a lot like the independent samples t-test if you watched that video. In the independent samples t-test, we had one variable that was important for the dependent variable, and then we had a second variable that kept track of group membership. Let's also switch over to the variable view and see what it looks like. If we go to the value labels for this group and click on that, you can see it's coded. So 0s are controls, 1 is a low dose, 2 is a medium dose, and 3 is a high dose. All right, so we've got 4 groups that we're comparing. Okay, so to do the analysis of variance, let's go to Analyze. There's Compare Means. And then there's the one-way analysis of variance option. So let's select that. Here's our dialog box for this. We have to, where it says dependent variable here, we have to move over our variable. So we've got to select blood pressure from the list of variables, press the button to move it over here to the dependent variable list. Here's our grouping variable. So we've selected that. We'll use this second button to move it over to the factor variable. Notice that this is a lot like what we did for the independent samples t-test. We had one group or one variable coding the dependent variable. We had a second variable that was coding which groups people were in. There's some other options here. I like to click the descriptives option. It gives us, basic descriptive statistics like means for each group. Homogeneity of variance is something we might want to look at, so we can click that button or not. There's post hoc tests that we can do. We'll skip those for now, but there's many different options you can choose from here. Okay, so let's click OK and see what we get out of this. So here's our output. Let's switch over here. Okay, so here's our output. You can see the top menu has a table, or the top part has a table for all the descriptive statistics. It breaks it down by group. You can see the means, standard deviations, and so on for each group. The second one here is a homogeneity of variance test. And then this is for that assumption that we need to meet. And then here's the analysis of variance results in this bottom table. It gives us some information like sums of squares. These are intermediate statistics that are used to calculate sums of squares and mean squares. And then over here at the right, we have our F score is under F, and then there's sig is our p-value. What's the probability? And you can see this is less than 0.05, so we'll probably reject the null hypothesis for this one, or we should. We've got degrees of freedom here in the middle too. If we're reporting these in APA style, we'll want to have our degrees of freedom in there. Okay, so that's all there is to it. It's very simple. If you can do the t-test examples, you should have no trouble doing this as well. If you want to get an effect size, you might need to use some of these intermediate statistics in an online calculator. You can take the statistics, the intermediate statistics from this table, plug them into the online calculator, and it'll give you an effect size statistic for that. Unfortunately, PSPP doesn't give us effect sizes for these. That's all there is to it. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.